What the heck is this market doing? If you are in our market, it actually feels pretty typical seasonal. Um, I'm not going to say normal because I feel like we haven't had a normal market for ages and ages, but this does not really feel that unusual. Our colleagues across the country are predicting gloom and doom, so maybe that's what's happening in your area. But what we're doing with our clients and with our audiences is just trying to give them some of the reality, whatever that reality is. If yours is doom and gloom, if your market is nuts, then you might need to be talking to your specific audience about what that means to them. But we think it's really important that people see a little bit of statistics, a little bit of charts and graphs that kind of show visually what's happening, instead of reading clickbait headlines that say the sky is falling and all of the buyers should go live in a tent until the market crashes, and then they will find plentiful, cheap, and fabulous properties.
And what they failed to, whenever they're predicting this gloom and doom, I feel like they're also forgetting that we have some record high rentals. So it's not like they're sitting in a $700 a month 3-bedroom and thinking, oh, well, I think I'll just go buy a $500,000 house and my mortgage is going to be $2,700. Doubling it or tripling or quadrupling what they're already paying. I mean, if you need a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, you're probably, at least in my market, paying anywhere between $2,200 and $2,700.
Yep.
A month.
Yeah, and in some places it's significantly more than that. So that's not an easy option. The other thing is realtors, if you have to be careful of what we're putting out and how it's being received, because what I'm seeing people predicting and getting excited about is not the reality of what might happen. And so if you've been in the business for a while, then you already know this. But if you haven't, if you've really only been following real estate during this uptick, what you don't know probably is from 2008, 2007, 2008, and depending on where you are, hit at different times, to 2014, nobody was buying houses unless they had to because they were afraid. They were afraid or they didn't qualify. Lending was horrible, was really hard to get. So all of those people who are salivating over an impending crash are not paying attention to the fact that they're among those who won't be able to buy a house no matter how cheap it is, nor will they want to because they're going to be afraid that it might go lower.
If the economy is going to crash, people are going to start losing their jobs. They're not going to be able to find a new job. People who have been doing, I know a lot of people who have been doing those gig, they call it gig jobs and stuff like that. What do you think the first thing is, these first expenses that these people who are reeling in on a tight budget are going to pull in? Those type of situations. So it's not going to be, hey, we have all the money, but the money's free anymore. It's definitely going to be a pinch. They are going to increase the first maybe month or so of coronavirus. Things got tight real fast because
absolutely everybody stopped spending. Everybody, took cash out of everywhere, and
lenders started
certainly everybody stopped buying and selling.
There was a lot of lenders that immediately, overnight, literally
changed absolutely
the availability of the loans. They increased credit score requirements. They changed a lot.
Down payment requirements, debt to income requirements.
Yes, it didn't last long, thankfully. But there were a few weeks out there that things got hairy.
Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. And purchasing power is going to be lower. So none of those are going to be good things. So please don't be among those agents who are advising your clients who need a place to live to wait until some magical time in the future that may not ever come. And when it does, it still might not work for them. Make sure that you're educating yourself, you're looking at the stats, and you're sharing those with your audience. We've got in our market, we have in our MLS a program called InfoSparks that makes it really easy to analyze that data.
I'll pull it up.
And Danielle will pull it up. She was just showing some charts on our Facebook Live. So this makes it really easy for people to see, to get some context, to understand that the market is not a straight line ever in any direction. How far back is this going, Danielle?
So usually this was the last graph I showed. This went 5 years back, and this is really was kind of what I was ending on. Usually we don't go this far back. We do about a year. But I was trying to prove to people, as far as home supplies or buyer's market to seller's market, where we're at. We are at the 1.5 to 2 month supply. And even when we were closer to what they call a neutral or a buyer's market in June of 2019, March, that kind of time in 2019, there wasn't anybody, my buyers, my sellers, other realtors, talking about it being a buyer's market in 2019. And we are half that, if not less now. And people are trying to claim it's a buyer's market.
And most people don't understand that there's this much up and down over 5 years. This is what markets look like. People tend to feel the big, seismic move, or they take like they'll take that little section at the end there where it drops down, and they'll say, look what's happening.
They'll start here and go, look, we were up, and then now we're falling. And it's like, but here we are so much. Let's be honest, from January 2017, where this starts, to about May of 2020, when obviously we were in the thralls of Corona epidemic, this kind of always consistently a decent up and down. You get give and take. It's only been in the last 2 years that we've really had this tight, uncomfortable market.
Right. So there have been times, though, that it has been. Times during the year were very seasonal here in Chicagoland, where we have seasons, and we can usually clearly see those in market behavior. What's this graph?
So I went 10 years back, same supply. So we're talking October of 2012, which is pretty much when everybody kind of consistently said we got over the Great Recession.
We were just starting to peak out of it then. So
correct. So,
to come down little by little.
January, but so that beginning of January is kind of the high there. But, by the end, by January 2020, 2013, at least our area, the Plano, Kendall County, Naperville area, were in the 4 to 5 month supply range, which is decidedly a neutral market. And we were there for about 7 or 8 years. That's a great market to be in.
Except for like spring. So we would have certain times when things tightened up, and then everything was pretty normal. So I think it's important to share data information like this. If you have access to InfoSparks, it works really well. It makes it super easy to pull these charts up. But show people, what is the reality of prices over the last 5 years or 10 years? What is the reality of home sales, of days on market, of all of these things that we talk about, and help them be more comfortable with the idea that they're not the only lunatic who's going to buy a house this fall, because that's what they're afraid of. So our job is to put it in context, help soothe their fears with data, with information, with education, and help them move. That's what we do, right?
And learn to know what this data means. Because, okay, so I know we want to wrap this up, but I just want to point out that Ruth and I have been telling everybody all summer, hey, listen, we get a little, like, things slow down a little bit. And I just want to point out that every single one of these little mini peaks August, July,
Yep.
July, August, September, August, June.
Yeah. So we had our slowdown in August, in July, and the entire real estate world was saying the sky is falling. Look what's happening. It's every freaking year.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean it. Also, don't be overconfident and don't tell people that it's not going to happen, because we don't know that either. But none of the data shows what the hysteria is saying.
Correct.
So help us get the word out there, share it with your people, an educated consumer, all of that. And love to see you. Drop a comment. Tell us what your market's like.
Yes, absolutely. And do you have access to InfoSparks? I'd love to know, or if there's another cool system that you guys have that you use that can get really good information and even better, maybe information than we get.
Yes, definitely. All right. See you next week.
All right. Take care.